Shabbat Shalom Rabotai. Mishnah Yomi continues in the fourth parak of Terumot, Mishnah Tes. So yesterday, the Mishnah had talked about being mevatel truma. We said male truma because you take one out and give to the Kohen even though it's batel and it's no longer has the status of truma, but we need to give the Kohen something. So the Mishnah uses the word ma'ale instead of mevatel, but the halachic effect is that it is batel. We said in 101 according to Rabbi Eliezer, or 100 and a bissel according to the other sages. And then we brought this machlokis about if different shape or color figs could be mevatel each other. And our Mishnah Tes explains the machlokis we brought in Mishnah Ches. Ketzad, how does this work? Or, for example, chamishim te'enim shulchorot, v'chamishim levanot. 50 darker figs and 50 lighter figs. Nafla shachora, if the darker figs fell in, so they fell into the lighter ones, shachorot asurot, then those darker figs are asur, levanot mutarot, and the lighter figs that they fell into are mutar, because you know that they were chulin. So this is truma falling into chulin. So if you know what fell in, you know one variety fell into a different variety. So the truma variety that fell in, they're still asur because they're not batel in 101, and the chulin that was there originally, it's mutar. Now it's mutar because you can tell them apart. There's different varieties of figs. Nafla levana, lighter figs fell in, levano tesurit, and they were truma. Those ones are asur, shachar mutar, and the darker figs are mutar because again you can tell them apart. So you would pull out the figs from the other variety that were the truma figs. So this is Rabbi Akiva's shita from yesterday, from Mishnah Ches, where he says if you know exactly what fell in, whether it's a different shape or a noticeably different variety, then you can separate them again. V'she'ena yedea yedua manafla. The Mishnah says when you don't know which one fell in, ma'alot zu, they do mevatel each other. Rabbi Eliezer machmer b'shua mekel, and in this case, Rabbi Eliezer was machmer in Mishnah 8, and he said no, even if you don't know, it's not batel. Rabbi Yeshua is mekel, and Rabbi Yeshua is mekel. Even if you did know, then it would still be batel. He says a fig is a fig is a fig. It's okay. Rabbi Akiva again had this middle shita where you didn't know what fell in, and you come and you take a look, and this bin it has 50. Here we're using 100. You know, we learned yesterday it's really 101, but we learned it's 100. Here it's 100. They're using the mashal. So you come and you see this bin, and it's 50 figs of one variety, 50 figs of the other variety. And so you know you have a problem because one of these batches was truma, but you don't know which one. So you have a suffix about which one was actually truma, and here you have enough to be mevatel. So the sages were mekel that you could rely on the bittel. At least Rabbi Akiva was mekel in this case. Now, Mishnah Yud brings an interesting wrinkle on this, and in the following case, Rabbi Eliezer mekel. Rabbi Eliezer, who was strict before, now he's lenient. Rabbi Yeshua machmer. Now Rabbi Yeshua is more strict, and he was lenient before. What is the case? Bedoris litra kitziot al pi hakad. He pushed down a litra. It's what we would call a liter. Probably about the same size, about 12 ounces. Okay, liter's a little more, but it's a significant amount of ktziot. Again, they're the dried pressed figs, al piyakad, into the mouth of a pitcher. He doesn't know which pitcher, so he had this kad, and it already had figs in it. So there were already chulin figs filling up the pitcher. You know, like a water pitcher, and then he added more figs onto the top of the pitcher, onto the above the other figs. But those ones were truma. So now he's got a problem because the pitcher typically does not have 100 times a litra. Maybe it has, a few liters in it, a few litraut, but not 100. So he's got truma on the top of a pitcher, but he doesn't know which pitcher it is that he accidentally stuck truma to. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, Rowinotan ki'ilu hen prudo. Rabbi Eliezer says we can see this liter of dried figs as if they're prudot, as if they're like spread out and mixed with the rest of the pitcher. Now this is a chiddush because he would have said, well, he knows he put them on top of the pitcher. He knows there were already figs in the pitcher, and then he added the truma ones by accident to the top. So they're really not spread out. But Rabbi Eliezer says we picture it halachically as if they're spread out. And so what happens at tachtonot malot elionot. So the lower figs that are, in the rest of the jug, they can nullify the figs that are on top. So I misspoke before, I apologize. According to Rabbi Eliezer, these pitchers were big enough that there were 100 figs. There were 100 chulin figs there below. And so his chiddush is, even though the truma figs are on top, but you already had 100 times that liter, you had 100 liter in these big jugs, these big pitchers below, so you can pretend halachically as if it's spread out and mixed throughout the jug, even though lemaisa it was on top of the jug. So that's his chiddush. There really were 100 in each pitcher. So since you don't know which pitcher, you could rely on the fact that there were 100 in there, that you can consider it halakhically as if they're mixed. Now, Rabbi Yeshua Omer lo tale achiu sham mea kodim. So Rabbi Yeshua says, no, you can't rely on this because lemais, according to Rabbi Yeshua, you put the truma figs, the problematic figs, on top, so you can't rely on the fact that there were already 100 seah of dried figs in the jug, because lemaisa they're on top, they're not spread out lemaisa. But if you have 100 pitchers, and this is Rabbi Yeshua L'Shitasu, he says you need 100 total. So if you had 100 of them, then you'll be okay, because now the pitchers themselves are buttel. There's one problematic pitcher here somewhere, and you can't rely on buttel in that one pitcher itself, because you know where the truma figs are if it is that one pitcher. But if you have 100 of them, now you can be mevatel them according to Rabbi Yeshua. So you see from this Mishnah that sometimes a sage is strict in one area and lenient in another area. So you need to analyze each opinion according to what it is. If somebody can't show up with a tzitzis, a talit that's all techelis, and say, hey, I'm pater from tzitzi because the whole thing is techelis. So that's a korach thing. So Okay, Shabbat Shalom, Rabotai.